Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy. Sorry that I keep making videos in this format. Believe me, it was not my intention, nor will this be the new norm, guys. This is only temporary. You really think I want to keep making videos in this style? No, I do not. I want higher quality videos, better looking videos. But if I want to share my thoughts and opinions on the latest TV shows, movies, and anime, in a quick fashion, this is the way that I have to do it until I could get a proper setup. And believe me, the proper setup is on its way. But until then, I do want to share my thoughts and opinions, so we're just going to have to stick with this style for now. Anywho, you all saw the title of the video. You know what I'm about to talk about. In fact, the whole world has been talking about it nonstop for the last, 2-3 weeks? The whole world is crazy about this Netflix series. And that Netflix series is, of course, Squid Game. And so what do I think about the show Squid Game? Because I don't need to go into the premise. I'm pretty sure you all know the premise of Squid Game at this point. I don't need to basically re-explain the premise. It's been beat down into you. So what do I think of the series? I really liked it. I really enjoyed watching this series. It is one of the best shows, one of the best Netflix series of 2021. However, I'm not saying that it is overhyped. I will say that maybe the hype might be just a tiny bit much. Again, not saying it's bad, not saying it doesn't deserve the hype, but I'm scared that a show as good as Squid Game, and it is good, will get so hyped up that years down the road, people will say that it is one of the most overhyped shows of all time, which is heartbreaking. They did the same thing to Frozen, which is a good Disney movie. It's a good Disney movie, yet people always say, oh, it's overrated. It was overhyped in its time. Everybody loved it. Who cared? And I'm scared Squid Game's going down that road as well, because again, like I said, it's a really good show, and I think people should watch it. But yeah, it is a tad bit overhyped in a sense. I will also say that based on the premise of the show, I don't think it's the best story told in this fashion about class warfare, or at least the discrepancies between the classes. I thought Parasite did it way better. I also thought that Snowpiercer did it way better. Both of which, by the way, made by Koreans. Koreans really do love this whole class warfare type story, don't they? It's almost like a genre to them at this point. Not saying that's a bad thing, but I do find it interesting that most of the class warfare films and series that I've seen lately have come from South Korea, made by South Korean directors. And again, if these are the types of stories that they want to tell to address a very serious issue, I have no problem with it, and most of them handle it artfully, like beautifully. I have yet to see someone tackle that subject in a terrible way, at least from South Korea. I've seen a lot of American movies and TV shows that try to address it, and they don't address it at all, or they don't address it very well, or artfully. The South Koreans really have nailed that genre. Anywho, to go a little bit more into my thoughts on the series, it is really good, like I said. I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but it is really good. I really enjoyed the characters. The visuals are fantastic. Like, that's the one thing that stood out the most to me outside of the story, the visuals. It looks beautiful. This is one of the best looking series I have seen Netflix ever produce. Ever produce. Just the beautiful artwork. The staircase, which is reminiscent of like MC Escher, I believe that's his style, with the endless staircase. Ooh, the pretentious art person in me was just like, oh, that's just so fantastic. I loved it. It's just a beautifully shot, beautifully made series. The story itself, like I said, it's good. I just don't think, with the whole addressing of the class warfare thing, I don't think it was the best story in the whole like explaining the difference or the tumultuousness of class warfare. I will say though, it did a lot of interesting things. I like the fact that they gave the characters a choice to participate in the game. It wasn't something like where they just roped up a bunch of people who are living the hard knock life and they give them absolutely no choice but to participate in this game if they want to survive and to get the money. No, they actually gave them a choice to participate in the game. And what I thought was really brilliant is that in the second episode, after experiencing what the game is like, they let them vote on whether or not to continue the game, because that's one of the stipulations, one of the rules that they had, right? The last rule is that they can vote to terminate the game if they get a majority vote. And spoiler alert, I guess, but it's the second episode. Spoiler alert, they do vote on leaving the game. They do vote to end the game. But what I loved about it is that they come to realize that whether they're playing the game or they're back in real life, their life is basically shit. The only reason they even participated in the game is because their lives were going bad. You know, you don't play that game if you're doing well in life, you know? So I like the fact that they addressed the situation, or they addressed the whole thing about like, you know, whether you're in here or you're out there, you know why you're here. You know what you're doing here. And at least in the game, we're giving you an opportunity to fix your life. We're giving you an opportunity to live a better life. We're giving you something to get you out of the hole that you put yourself in. Whereas out there, they're not going to give you a chance, right? And the creator, when I was looking up this series, actually, he made a very good point that he wanted to make this series like an allegory to modern capitalist society. And considering that this show is about a bunch of people playing a series of games or doing a series of competitions in order to gain enormous amounts of wealth, I thought he hit it on the nail. That is exactly the modern day rat race. Aren't we all just competing to get more money? Is that not all that we're doing? Why do we go to work? Why do we do anything that we do in this world? We do it because we want to earn more money, right? More money means more comfort, means the ability to do more things, right? So it's the constant rat race. And I like that he was able to portray that through the guise of these children's games. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh! But if you lose the card game, you die. And of course, everyone's like making comparisons, like, oh, it's Hunger Games, it's Kaji, it reminds me a lot of King's Game too, a little bit. Although King's Game they didn't have a choice, so I can't really make that comparison. Battle Royale, but even in Battle Royale, they didn't have a choice. That's what makes this series so unique, is that they had a choice. They had a choice. And some of them don't even come back. When they make the vote, they don't come back. Some of them, or at least some of them don't. I like that. I thought that was a unique angle to take, that they basically are, I wouldn't say equally in control of the game, but basically they have a say in the game. Whereas usually in stories like this, of course, the lower class, the poor class is manipulated into the game by the upper class. Although, you know what? Actually, let me take that back. Because in a weird way, maybe even subtly, you could make the argument that the upper class did manipulate them to play this game. I mean, if you think about it, they literally dangled the money in their face. Who's going to say no to that? Especially if you're in the situation that these characters were in. Why would you say no to that? So I guess it is still, in a sense, the upper class manipulating the weaker, poorer class for their own entertainment. And we'll get to that a little later in this video. I did like the characters. I don't like all of them, but I think each of them served their purpose very well. A lot of antagonistic characters. There was one character, though, I will say, I understood why they made her that way, but my God, she is so goddamn annoying. So goddamn annoying. You know the character I'm talking about. I don't even need to say her name. You know the character I'm talking about. The girl that constantly switches sides, is really loud, in your face, and obnoxious, boy, I get it. You're gonna have characters like that. It adds to the realism of the situation, but oh my god, did I really, really hate her. I really did. But again, I hate her more for my personal taste, but not for the context of the story. I think she served her purpose quite well. The main character, um, it's hard to say Korean names, so I don't know. I don't know how to say his name. It's like Gion. Please, my Korean fans, please don't kill me. I'm trying my best. I'm trying. I think it's Gihon. I will say it was hard for me to really root for him because of how reprehensible he was at the start of the series. Like, and I mean really reprehensible. Now, sure, there are going to be other characters down the line that do way worse shit than he does, but his introduction, I won't say it was poorly handled, but it didn't do him a lot of favors in my book to make me sympathetic to his plight. You know, later on, he does become quite sympathetic, but it really took a while. Like, you don't feel bad for him because, like, this guy just manipulates and uses people, particularly his mother. You know, he put himself into the situation that he's in, complete debt. Yeah, it just was really hard for me to root for him. I was surprised. I thought that this show would be bold and actually kill the main character. I thought he would be like, at least like midway through the series, he would die and then someone else would take his place. I thought that would have been an interesting angle to take. He doesn't end up doing that, which fine, I guess it's a nitpick, but it would have been cool if someone else took over main character status, especially because there were so many great characters in this show that easily could have been the main characters of the series. For example, the main chick of the series, whose name is oh man. Wait, I think I see it here. Hold on. Let me see. Her name is Say. I'm just gonna say Say. I can't say the other part. Say, the North Korean girl. She was great. I loved her. I loved every scene that she was in. I thought she was the most interesting character out of the bunch. And I'm so glad that you know, we got a little bit of her backstory too. Because I thought this would be a situation where no, you're not gonna get the backstory, you're not gonna learn anything about the character. No, we do learn a lot about her. And I thought that was great. I also like the little rivalry between the main character and I. It's weird because I don't think they established the fact if they were like childhood best friends or not, or if they knew each other, but were they childhood best friends? Gi Hong and Sawu. His name is Sang-woo. Sang-woo. Why did I say Sawu? Sang-woo. Did they establish in the series that they were best friends, or they were just like friends as kids and they kind of had a falling out? It was never really established the backstory between the two of them. Either way, I did like that rivalry that they had. I also thought that Sang-woo, for as reprehensible as he gets as the series goes on, was very fascinating. And you understand why he's reprehensible. They actually do a good job at setting up how reprehensible it is, or at least hinting to his deceptiveness. Because, I mean, after the second game, you start to see the cracks in his character, which, again, fantastic buildup. There are issues. I think I should get into my issues now. But in order for me to get into my issues, I'm going to have to dive into spoilers. So I'm just going to say right now, I highly recommend it. I think it is a series worth watching, if just for the visuals and characters alone. The story, while solid, is just nothing special, I would say. The music actually was pretty interesting, although it could be goofy at some points, but it's still interesting. Overall, again, worth watching. Go check it out. Now I'm gonna get into some of the issues, some of the spoilers I have. The cop subplot. Yes, I get it. It's important, but goddamn, was it just chock full of conveniences. First off, how did he follow that car all the way to the dock and no one saw anything? Then he snuck into one of the cars and no one saw. Like, it was just convenience after convenience after convenience. Not to mention that to make a strong character, you need to give the character obstacles to face. And I mean like true obstacles, trying obstacles. The cop never had an obstacle that was really that was really challenging for him. Things almost came relatively too easy to him. And again, the conveniences of how he was able to get out of certain things was like, it almost gave me an aneurysm. Like, how did you not catch that? How did you not notice that? What, is there not a camera person somewhere in this room? How do you not have a camera at the dock? And then when he's like hiding from everybody, they can't find him. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, one room in this facility that does not have cameras. And you cannot find this guy anywhere on your cameras. Adoy, he might be in that room, right? That would have been the first thing I thought about. I would have been like, I need to check my room. There's no cameras up there. There's nobody up there. And not only that, they made it clear that there is a path all the way up to that room. And it's a well-known path for the VIPs to basically escape if ever something goes wrong. So why didn't he just go check that? Not to mention, they go into the freaking area where the underwater passageway is. There's a ladder. Why didn't they just climb the ladder all the way up? Maybe he's up there, right? It just seems so stupid that they didn't think about that. The subplot with the men basically capitalizing on the situation that they're dealing with a lot of dead bodies, so they're like, oh, guess what? We could harvest their organs and sell them on the black market. A fascinating angle, but it really goes nowhere. A fascinating angle, but it really doesn't go anywhere. So, I don't know. I feel like it was wasted. It would have been so great if it was leading to something. Maybe even like a little foot trail that would expose the whole organization in a way. But it was just kind of like this side thing that these guys were doing, which again, I get it. And they were capitalizing on the situation that they were in. Okay, that makes sense. There'd be people like that would do something like that. But I thought it was going to lead to something. It didn't really lead to anything, And I think the last thing I want to talk about is the last few episodes. For the first 6 episodes of the series, I thought it did a really good job at not being too over the top, too camp. Yes, the violence is over the top, but even the violence to a degree, I mean, they're just shooting them. I thought it was going to be like something where like blades are swinging down or there's like a roller with spikes on it, or something like almost like Saw-esque, if you will. But the fact that they just shoot at them, I mean, okay, that's not that over the top. So I liked how grounded, for the most part, the series was in its execution. But sometime in the 7th episode, they introduced the VIPs. And when the VIPs showed up, that's when, like, the message of the story was very on the nose. Very on the nose. And it really bothered me. It really bothered me. Because I thought the show was doing a solid job at expressing its themes without having to be so in your face about it. Again, the idea of them having to vote, or the fact that they were given a choice to participate, brilliant. Because in life's gonna do that to you, where it'll put you in a no-win situation. You're fucked if you do, or you're fucked if you don't. I like that angle. And again, it was beautifully portrayed without it being spelled out for you. The story itself showed you that that was the situation some of these characters were. Most of these characters were in. So, to be so on the nose at the very end of the story, it felt like they kind of tripped a little bit. And especially, oh man, the masks were so ridiculous, dude. Like, I really felt like I was watching the Hunger Games again. Because remember, the Hunger Games is all about Pan Am, and they like to watch all the other districts as they kill each other. Like, that's exactly what these guys were doing. The rich white guys watching a bunch of the peasants, perform their little games for them for their delight and their entertainment, too on the nose, too cartoony, too ridiculous. I would have been perfectly fine if it was a little bit more grounded than that. Maybe even have some of those elites be Korean people. Why were they all white? Again, just way too on the nose with that scenario. And you know what it also reminded me of, actually? It also reminded me of Eyes Wide Shut for some reason, because of the whole, like, the masquerade ball, and they're all wearing masks, and there's these famous people, and they're doing cocaine and hookers and things like that. It reminded me so much of a Stanley Kubrick film. In fact, a lot of the series does remind me a lot of a Stanley Kubrick film, now that I think about it. But yeah, the last few episodes, like, I did feel like they dropped the ball in the subtlety department, especially the subtlety department. And then also the big twist. There's a big twist. And this is the last time. I'm going to warn you. I'm going to ruin the big twist. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The old guy, number 1, he's the man that put the game together. In the back of my mind, I always assumed that he was the guy pulling the strings the whole time. Because after all, he was the only one that was that elderly. Like, there were old people, but he was elderly. And it always felt like he was pretending a lot. Like, and that was the whole thing, is that he's very deceptive. In the game where they were playing with the marbles, he convincingly made the main character think that he was suffering like a episode of his dementia. So the main character capitalized on the situation and basically used that to his advantage, only for him to later find out that the old man was just acting the whole time. It was a test. And I don't know if he passed or failed that test, but he did something with that test. But at the end, the very end of the series, we find out that not only is the old man really dying, and we do know his real name, but he was the guy pulling the strings the whole time. And his reasoning is bullshit. I don't buy it for a second. He says to the main character, you know what people with no money and people with too much money have in common? There's no fun in their life anymore. That's bullshit. People with too much money, they can definitely still have fun in their life. People with no money have no fun in their life. Don't even give me that pseudo-philosophical bullshit that we're all the same. No, we're not. Don't justify your... It could have just been like a whole justification for his actions. I get that. But man, they really try to sell that point. No. The super rich and the super poor are not the same. And if anything, I thought that Snowpiercer handled that whole thing about the super poor and the super rich having to work together far more brilliantly than Squid Game. Because again, the tail had to work with the head. That was the twist of Snowpiercer. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. This one's like, oh yeah, we're actually not all so different, we all are chasing after the almighty dollar and we try to have fun, this was my way of having fun before I died. No, sorry old man, fuck you. No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. I don't. Do I have anything else to say about the show? I've talked for 24 minutes about it. I guess not. That's really all I have to say about the show. Again, it's really good. Really well put together. I don't think it's the greatest series or story handling class warfare. Again, I think Parasite and Snowpiercer did it far better. Go give those a watch, by the way. Other than that, that's really all I have to share. But let me know what you guys thought about Squid Game down in the comment section below. Did you love it to death? Did you hate it? Do you think it's overhyped or it's going down the road of being overhyped? Do let me know in the comment section. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. Till then, if you'd like to see more videos of this channel, be part of the Black Critic crew, please Hit that subscribe button below. Like this video if you really enjoyed it. And I'm Tony Watt II, the Game Master, known as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.